Okay, thank you very much, Scott. First of all, thank you for organizing such an amazing event at such an epic venue. It's such a pleasure to be here. I have now worked with Scott and his team for many years. We couldn't quite figure out, maybe 6-7 years ago. And at that point, I was doing all my social and my web by myself. And I reached a point where I thought, actually, I can't do this anymore. I had a few 100,000 followers, probably 50, 60,000 newsletter subscribers, and I thought, actually, I need some help with this. And a few years later, I now have 2 million social media followers, about 1.2 million newsletter subscribers, and the journey has been fantastic, and they've been such a fantastic team to work with. So thank you for having me. What I do is I look at future trends in technology and in business, and I share this. And I'm lucky enough to work with many of the most amazing companies on the planet. So I work currently with Amazon, with Microsoft, with Google, with IBM, with Oracle. Oracle is actually the title sponsor of this year's Red Bull Formula One team. And I was super lucky that Max Verstappen and Chris Horner actually launched the 2022 car on my YouTube channel, which was pretty epic. So I'm super thankful about this. I can't quite top Scott with having a baby, but I had a good week as well. So I've got 3 already, and I definitely don't want any more. But on Monday was the Business Book Award, and I had 2 books nominated, which I was so immensely proud of, just to have some recognition. So I took my wife, it was a black tie dinner, and for us it was just an opportunity to go out and have a nice lunch. So we went to London, dropped the kids off to school, and went to London on a Monday morning, which felt very naughty. Had a lovely lunch, too much to drink. Then we went back to the hotel, got changed, turned up at the dinner, and I just was super happy to get the plug saying I was a finalist. So that was me done. I hit the wine. And the first category came, and I won. So second category, second book, I won that too. So I was feeling really crazy, and then again hit more wine and was celebrating, and then the final thing came, and I won the Business Book of the Year, which is pretty epic. So I'm still on cloud 9. And the book is Extended Reality in Practice. This is what I want to talk about today. It's about the next evolution of the internet. It's about looking at the metaverse and using augmented, virtual, and mixed reality and how this is going to change our world. So hopefully this will be interesting. Just to give you a flavor, for me, the metaverse is about making the internet more immersive. So Mark Zuckerberg said it is, instead of looking at the internet on the web or on social, it's about being inside of it, being more immersed in it. And I'm doing something really cool tomorrow. I'm working with AT&T at the moment, and I'm doing a keynote for them in Singapore and in Sydney. But I will be in a studio in London. They will record me and then project me as a hologram into the conference in Sydney and Singapore to a live audience, which is pretty cool. And this is, for me, the future. It gives you a flavor of where we will be and is part of this metaverse journey. So for me, the metaverse is about the third evolution of the internet. And we've heard a lot about social media today. This, for me, is the second evolution, but we are now starting a third evolution of this. So the Web 1 was about having websites, having a presence on the internet. Web 2 was about participation. It was about social media, engagement. Web 3 is about this immersive nature of it. So there are a number of technologies that are part of the metaverse. So I just want to hopefully give you a really good understanding of what the metaverse is, lots of practical examples that hopefully you find interesting. An important technology is augmented reality. So the hologram that I will be tomorrow is a bit like this, part of this. But augmented reality is becoming very real. So if you Google a dinosaur on your phone now, you have the option of projecting this dinosaur into the room using augmented reality. And you will see pictures like this, so you can actually get an idea of the size. You can use your phone and walk around the dinosaurs. Just try it out at the lunch break. It is pretty cool. So augmented reality is all about putting an image on top of the real world. So we're using phones at the moment, or tablets, in the future, glasses, to see images that overlay onto the real world. And I have this in my car. I now have an augmented reality sat-nav in my car. I have a display that's projected onto the windscreen so you see where you're going. So this is all part of augmented reality. And this is something that's very real, because we all have handsets that are capable of this. The next one is virtual reality. So here we are using headsets that blank out the reality, and we are entering a complete virtual world. So everything we are seeing is digital only, no part of the real world. And if you look at some of the evolutions of these headsets, in the past you needed to have cables, they needed to be connected to powerful computers. Now we have completely untethered headsets. With the emergence of 5G, we will have mobile headsets that we can wear anywhere and experience virtual reality. Also part of this is what we call mixed reality. Mixed reality, and some of these definitions, don't take them as a given, because this is all still emerging and they're blending together. But mixed reality is when we can, it's a bit like augmented reality, but we use glasses to project images in front of us, a bit like a hologram. But in mixed reality, we are able to manipulate those objects, which is pretty cool. So you can interact with them, you can spin them around. So one of my best experience with the Microsoft HoloLens was learning to play the drums. So I was sitting in a room with these glasses on, there was nothing there. Then they projected a hologram of a drum kit. They projected drumsticks into my hand. I could then play them, and through the haptic feedback, I was feeling like I was playing the drums, which is pretty cool. But there's so much evolution going on. If you look at what companies like Apple and HTC and Samsung are doing in this space, this is an HTC headset that was released earlier, which is a hybrid reality headset. So this is completely untethered. It actually links to your mobile phone. And this is hybrid because you can do both augmented and virtual reality. And so they look like pretty cool sunglasses. And this is designed for people to be on public transport or on a plane, who you can either project yourself in this most amazing cinema and watch a film, or you can experience the metaverse in this world or see augmented reality as well. And this, for me, is the future, because especially augmented reality, it can change the world around you. So if you don't like white cars, you can just use an AI to change all the white cars that you are seeing through your augmented reality into the color that you like. So we will see much more merging of the real world and the digital world. We are also seeing huge advances in some of the accessories around this. So you can now have complete haptic suits and vests and haptic gloves. So they give you, so if you play a shooting game, for example, and someone hits you, you then get an actual hit on your body, feeling very real. There are also some accessories that I can't show you here that are for other human needs that are becoming very popular. But this market is definitely getting very interesting. And then, as a futurist, I need to look ahead. And there's also lots of stuff happening. So we already have contact lenses that are capable of projecting images directly onto our retina. So Apple very much believes that the future is not a phone. This will not be our interface to the internet in the future. It will be some form of glasses. And Apple is about to release their mixed reality headset at some point. And the next one will likely be contact lenses, but we also have real improvements in computer-brain interfaces, where if you think everything we are seeing, everything we are noticing, feeling, is something we take in with our senses, and our brain makes sense of it. And if we can bypass some of our sensors and access directly into our brain, we can give us this amazing virtual world in the future directly into our brains. So this is a bit of context. The metaverse, then, there are lots of different interpretations of what the metaverse is. Some say this will never happen. Some believe that we are already here. And I believe we're somewhere in the middle. We are definitely seeing the early versions of it. And for me, this is what we're seeing as an evolution. There won't be a step saying, now we have the metaverse. And for me, how many of you have watched Ready Player One? Watch that film, because it will give you it's a Steven Spielberg film, gives you a really good feel of what the metaverse could be. It's slightly disturbing because they live in this dystopian world in 2040 where the world has pretty much been destroyed through climate change, and people escape into this virtual world where you can be anything you want. Your avatar can take any form, and you can basically live your life there. You can race cars, you can go to the casino, you can date, you can do whatever you want. And what we're seeing today is many of these components already exist. Will there ever be one metaverse? So the idea is that you have, for example, an avatar, and instead of just using it to play Fortnite, you can also then go to the cinema and go to the theater and watch a film and whatever you want to do. And this doesn't exist today. And I don't think there will be one metaverse. I think we'll have lots of multiverses, where a multiple metaverse world where companies like Tencent and companies like Amazon and Google and Microsoft and Meta have their own versions of a metaverse. And maybe there will be some interfaces. But what people increasingly want is if they've just spent, like my kids regularly do, spend 10, 20 quid on an outfit for their Fortnite character, they want to take this outfit and wear this somewhere else. So this will increasingly happen. And we're seeing this in the entertainment world. So Fortnite, which is basically a kids game, it's a little shooting game that is quite tame. And what they have recently done is they staged a few concerts. So Trevor Scott, for example, performed in front of 40 million Fortnite users. This is something you can't replicate in the real world. Ariana Grande is performing in Fortnite. So we're seeing more of these merging of worlds. Roadblocks is another really good idea. It's a platform where you build stuff with digital blocks. So kids build their digital houses and their gardens and whatever. But increasingly, brands are now exploring this world. So Nike, for example, has created Nike Land in Roblox, where you can go. And Nike has also recently bought Artifact Studio. This is a company that makes digital sneakers. So their vision is that in the future, Nike will not just sell real-world products, they will equally sell virtual goods in the virtual world. So you can dress your avatars using Nike-branded sneakers, and Gucci has done the same. For them, this is a really important world to explore. And I'm currently working with Wimbledon, and they're now looking at how can we recreate the Wimbledon experience in some of these platforms for the next generation. In entertainment and sport, we're seeing this already, and there are huge opportunities here. I was recently talking to the senior leadership team at Channel 4, and they're now saying, how can we leverage this technology for us as a content provider? And sports, for me, and entertainment in particular, are huge opportunities. Formula One, great example. In the future, you will be able to put your headsets on and experience the race from the view of a race driver. And not just the TV view, but you can look around and see other people around you. If you like watching football, imagine being able to watch this in VR, where you can place yourself anywhere in the football stadium, even the expensive seats. And even better, if there's a corner kick, you can put yourself in the middle of the of the box and see the ball coming in and the players around you reacting. Or if there's a penalty, you can be the goalkeeper and get their view of what is happening. And these are already happening. Sky has invested heavily in 360-degree video capturing of the Premier League. And the same is happening in Formula One at the moment. This is still a little bit in the future, but this is all coming. Everything is being put in place to make this happen. Again, exercise. I use my VR glasses to yoga, for example, which is really cool because you can really transport yourself into a different world, being anywhere. And increasingly, again, lots of smart technology is now coming together. There's a smart yoga mat, for example, that uses AI to monitor your movement, and it can exactly understand how balanced you are and how good your yoga positions is. So you can then have your intelligent yoga mat being your yoga instructor, being in a completely different world wherever you want to be. The world of work will also be changing. We've all transitioned to Teams and Zoom meetings. But wouldn't it be cool if we can actually be avatars and they feel so much more real? So I've recently done some work with Ericsson, for example, and we had a number of meetings using the Meta Horizon platform. And it feels like you're in the room with someone instead of just looking at someone at a screen. And you can have eye contact with someone that feels so much more real than trying to find your camera on your laptop or computer, and then you always look like you're not really looking someone in the eyes. And Meta, formerly known as Facebook, is obviously investing huge amounts of money. They've invested $5 billion last year in the Metaverse, and they probably topped that this year. So they've rebranded themselves because they feel that this is such a massive opportunity. We're also seeing companies like NVIDIA, for example, creating digital co-working spaces. So they have these amazing tech platforms that allow architects to build buildings and design buildings like big skyscrapers. And then you can, again, use VR headsets to walk around those skyscrapers and experience them. What will it look like to have a sunset? What will this place look like when it's really busy? Where's the light coming in and out? And again, combining AI with VR will make this possible. There's also a real opportunity for brand engagement, because if you think our kids they are already on Roblox and Fortnite far too much, but they will be spending more time. And this is a real opportunity for brand engagement and giving kids the opportunity. A really cool example comes from the whiskey company Dalmore. What they did is they worked with the One Aldwych Hotel in London, and they created a whiskey cocktail. And what you do is when you order this cocktail, they give you those VR glasses, you stick them on, and this then transports you to Scotland. It gives you a tour of their distillery and how the whiskey is made. So an amazing opportunity to engage people instead of just saying, I want a Dalmore or I want a Balwinnie and have no idea what the difference is. So you now have had this amazing experience. By the time this is finished, the cocktail is in front of you. And this, for me, is immersive brand engagement. Healthcare, huge opportunities. I've done a number of podcasts recently and videos on metaverse opportunities for healthcare, creating digital virtual hospitals. But one case that I really love is digital exposure therapy, for example. So if you suffer from certain anxieties or you have post-traumatic stress disorder, what therapists want you to do is slowly face those fears in safe environment, and VR allows you to do this in a very controlled way. And there are now lots of other opportunities. One of the biggest fears, public speaking. So you can now practice this in VR. You can put yourself in front of an audience and speak and learn that. Education, again, I believe our current education system is pretty broken. It was designed for the first industrial revolution hundreds of years ago. We're front-loading lots of stuff that we cram into kids' heads instead of actually making them lifelong learners. And what VR and AR allows you to do is to bring things to life. So instead of reading a book, when you read a book, your retention rate is about 5%. If you experience something in VR, your retention rate rockets to over 80%. So you can read about ancient Rome, but how about putting your glasses on and visiting it and walking around it? So experiencing this, and also there are huge opportunities. There's a really good VR experience that allows you to ride the bus in South Africa as a black minority. This is something we can't replicate. The looks you get, how people react to you. So there are amazing opportunities. And also making training more real. Lots of companies are now using this for health and safety training, for example. The police is using it for training scenarios. If they had to build a training scenario for all the different environments a police officer, or especially an armed police officer, might find themselves in, you couldn't actually do this in any cost-effective manner. In VR, we can create those environments really easily. It is now used in surgery, increasingly, both VR and AR. So in virtual reality, surgeons can train. So you can scan a particular body of a person, you, if you have to have an operation. So they know your exact body, and the surgeon can practice an operation. And again, using augmented reality, they can actually take some organs out of your body, look at them in virtual and mixed reality to see where the best place is to insert something, to put a stent in, to put a cut in. So this is, again, an amazing opportunity. In retail, we are seeing this now. IKEA was the first company that used augmented reality with their Place app. I don't know whether you've tried this, but this is pretty cool. So if you want to look at any IKEA furniture, you can then use the app to place this into your room and see what it actually looks like in your setting. And this will increasingly happen. And again, as phones are getting better, now they have LiDAR scanners that allow you to much better understand the sizes of your room. So the first ones didn't really quite work as well because you could make this chair as big or small as you wanted. Now it's becoming more intelligent. So it will understand how big your room is, how the right size of the furniture around it, and you can actually see what it will actually look like. Another really cool application is the Ink Hunter app. So I guess there's not many things that you do that are as long-lasting as a tattoo, so you want to get this right. And again, what you can do is you can try it out. You can try out the tattoo on your skin, moving around, playing around with it for a while, saying, is this really what I want? And other companies, the jewelry companies now, Rolex is working on this to help you try out jewelry. Again, getting a much better understanding of the size of different watches and what they might look like on your wrist. But it's not just trying on. So this, one of my favorite examples comes from the French glasses and ski wear company Bolly. And what they've done is they used, it's a bit like a Snapchat filter, so you can try those glasses on and see what they will look like on your face. But they also use AI and the other side. So you have obviously got the back camera, so if you look at yourself like you're taking a selfie, you can see what those glasses will look like. You can then flick this round to the other side and see the world, and then you can look at the different shading of those glasses and what they will actually look like. So you can not only try them on, you can try them out and see whether this is actually the shading you would want, or whether you want any darker or lighter. Travel is going to be impacted hugely by all of this as well. So we already have the opportunity to try out resorts. So if you want to go to certain hotels in Dubai or the Maldives, you can put your VR goggles on and walk around those resorts and check them out and see, is this the place I want to spend my holiday in? But augmented reality increasingly has a role to play as well. So I guess if you are a tour guide, for example, your number is up as well to some extent, because we now have augmented reality. So you can have the guide with you all the time, telling you about cities, about resorts. There are now resorts that help you. So if you say, I want to go to this restaurant, you simply point the app into a certain direction and it will guide you. Gatwick Airport is already using this app. So if you get a message saying your plane is ready to board now, you can simply look through your phone and it will tell you where to go and where to find your gate and how long it will take to get there. Real estate, another industry that is being transformed by all of this. The idea of all of us, especially, let's imagine people buying holiday homes. So you have to fly to another country, you need to organize the viewings. In the future, we can do all of this virtual. And this is already happening in high-end retail, where they are now offering 3D tours. So you can walk around the building, see what it actually feels like. But not only this, you can stage it. So you can put your furniture in it and completely redecorate the house in your style to get an even better sense whether this is the house you want to buy. The fashion industry is being transformed at the moment. The picture here is Shudu. She is a fashion model that has many more Instagram followers than me. And the funny thing is, she is not real. So this person doesn't exist. And if you think about this, why would we have a fashion model sending them somewhere, having real clothes put on them, shooting, relying on weather and venues and so on, when we now can do all of this virtual? So in the future, we'll have most fashion will be showcased on virtual models. And I was lucky enough to work with a number of companies to create my own avatar. So if you want to get a feel of what this looks like, check out my TikTok channel. We're just trialing this out. So this is very early days. We're experimenting with this. But basically what happened is they filmed me, they recorded me, and now I have a virtual avatar, which is pretty cool. So I can now type in any text, press a button, and it will turn a video of me looking like me, sounding like me, presenting it. So everything that's on my TikTok channel, I have never said or recorded. It's purely done by an avatar. What we're now seeing is this virtual land grab to some extent. Now, these digital platforms like Decentraland and Sandbox. And for me, this is a bit like the first land grab, the first .com boom, and everyone wanted to secure their website. Then social Web 2 arrived, and people wanted to secure their handles and addresses on Facebook and Twitter. Now it's about securing your space on the Metaverse. And land on the popular sites has gone up. So the smallest plots a few years ago or a year ago were about $1,000. They're now over $10,000. And this is where the Metaverse also links to the crypto world, to the decentralized web. So a lot of these things will become decentralized. Nike, for example, sells their digital sneakers as NFTs. In the same way, if you want to buy, so non-fungible tokens are stored on the blockchain. And your virtual land, if you buy any, will also be blockchain-based as NFTs, as will be your virtual goods. I recently worked with Glenfiddich, and what they have done is they released 15 bottles of 46-year-old whiskey. And what normally happens in the whiskey world is that you spend tens of thousands of dollars for these amazing bottles of whiskey, but then they disappear into your cupboard somewhere. No one will ever see them. You can't show them off. As an NFT, you get a digital version of it that you can put into your digital house in the Metaverse, having it spin around saying, I own that. What they will do is they will keep the real bottle in a storeroom in Singapore. So you have this digital verification that you own this. And this allows you to gamble with it, sell it. So if you sell it, someone else will then you will transfer the NFT, but the bottle will still be there. And if you decide to drink it, you can then request the bottle, your NFT will be destroyed, and then you can drink it. And this for ownership verification of physical goods is really interesting. And also for a brand like Glenfiddich, in the past, if they auctioned 15 bottles of whiskey, they have no idea where they went. They have no idea who and when they were sold and whether they were drunk. So if you had 15 bottles and 10 of them decided to drink it, there are only 5 left, that is really important information for those 5 people. Or let's just imagine only 1 is left. This is so much more valuable. With NFTs, you will have exactly that understanding. So those 15 bottles sold in 3 seconds for 15,000 each. And I was so lucky they actually sent me a little sample bottle, which I enjoyed immensely. So I'm one of the very few people who've ever tried this, and it's amazing. I couldn't afford the real thing, obviously. But this is, for me, an interesting showcase, use case of bringing together the metaverse and the blockchain world. There are obviously some concerns. There's all well and good talking about all the opportunities. I think there are many issues around entering this digital world, especially around regulation, which simply doesn't exist at the moment. And if you think about some of the things we could potentially do, if you have a social world where you wear virtual reality headsets, but also a haptic suit, and someone touches you inappropriately, where does this leave the law? What is allowed, what isn't allowed in the digital versus the virtual world? There are also issues around I think especially around addiction of all of this, because these digital worlds will be so much more amazing than the real world that we are experiencing around us. So we already see this, that people talk about this VR hangover or VR post-VR sadness, where they suddenly take off the goggles and say, this looks a bit shit here. So I want to go back. The other thing is we need to worry about our children, I think. They now spend an increasing amount of time in the digital world. And if they move from looking at a screen to immersing themselves in it, it's really important that we keep an eye on them. And monitoring what they're doing will become increasingly difficult if they disappear into the headset. So there are a number of issues around this that we need to solve, but I believe the opportunities are absolutely amazing for all of us. So we talked a lot about social media here today, Web 2, Web 3 is coming, and everyone in this room needs to start thinking about what this will mean for their own brand and how they will move into this new world. Hopefully that was interesting. If you have any more questions, please grab me at lunchtime or contact me on email or on social. Thank you very much.